All right, Meredith, can you see my screen? Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to session 13 of Application Week, coordinated by Iowa College Aid. This entire week through tomorrow, we have held various and will hold various application and admission sessions. And then on Friday and Saturday, we're hosting application fairs where students and families can complete a college admissions application with a specific college admissions representative. So please be sure to check out our webpage, iowacollegeaid.gov/application week to register for all other sessions this week, including that application fair. You can also find us on Facebook and see our Facebook events for more information to register and to share with others. So right now we will hear from Meredith about commonapp and how to best utilize and complete that application. If you have questions throughout the session, please type them into the Q&A box or into the chat and we'll get those answered at the end of our time here. We will end by 4:55 to allow everyone enough time to get to the next session, which will begin at 5 o'clock. If you do not get your question answered, we'll be sure to reach out to you later. All sessions will be recorded and made available on the event webpage so you can access them at a later time. So I'm going to stop my share and turn it over to you, Meredith.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Figure out what I'm doing here. Great. Done. Oh, I see. And share. Oh, let me stop that for a second. 1 second. Okay. Alrighty, let me go to the right tab, guys. I know. Great. Okay. Just want to confirm everything looks okay?
Yes.
Great. All right. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Meredith Lombardi. I'm the Associate Director of Outreach and Education at commonapp. I've been with the organization almost 5 years now, and really am a liaison between commonapp and students, families, and counselors. So I myself was a former high school counselor before joining commonapp, and I'm just really excited to be with you today and to be with the sorry, real life here, you know, husbands walking around, but with Iowa College Aid, and to be here during your college application week to support you all on this journey. Quick agenda. I'm going to give you a kind of a background about commonapp as an organization, and then walk you through some of the pieces of the application, not the whole thing. Some of you, I'm sure, already have your application started, but just to point out some things that may be helpful, connect you with tools to use as you're going through the process, and then leave time at the end for your questions. Again, if something comes up during this presentation and you do have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat so that we can address it at the end. When you're doing any of these events or connecting with colleges, right now in the current state, it can feel very challenging, and we know that there's a pandemic globally. We are also addressing issues of racial injustice, and it can feel hard to think about the future and what can motivate you to get through this year. And so I like to start this with the idea of what excites you about going to college. You know, what are the reasons that you are thinking about pursuing your education beyond high school, and how can those motivators get you to that next step of submitting an application and moving on to college next year or in a future year if you are not yet a senior. So I mentioned commonapp as an organization because that is what we are. You may think of us as just this application platform. We are a nonprofit membership organization. Our colleges are the members that make up the membership. And we have been around since 1975. So way before any of you were born. even before I was born. It started with 15 colleges that joined together that have now grown to over 900, with a mission of a pursuit of access, equity, and integrity in the college admission process. So now 922 member institutions. We have a member in all 50 states, plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. We also have member colleges that are outside of the United States. So if you are thinking about possibly studying in another country, not just for study abroad, but to pursue a bachelor's degree, there are 62 international members on the Common App in 18 countries outside of the US. For those of you who may be in your school buildings part of the year this year, you may find in your college and career center or in your high school counselor's office a visual that you see on the right here, which is the Common App map. We send this every year to all high schools, but this year, given that so many students are not getting to go to school or have started at least virtually, you may not see the map until you do get back to your school campuses. If you think about that graphic showing you how it's a different number of colleges on Common App every year, this year is no different. So we had 42 new colleges join Common App as of August 1st. Those schools are in 20 states. 19 of them are public institutions. Any of you who may have older siblings may have seen how Iowa and Iowa State are recent new members of Common App within the last 5 years. So we're very excited to have them join. But this just gives you this idea that new schools come onto the membership every year. If you ever want to see the full list, we always put the full list out on our blog at commonapp.org/blog. In terms of where we are in Iowa, there are 15 colleges that are part of Common App in Iowa, which you'll see listed here. Again, I had mentioned Iowa and Iowa State, as well as Northern Iowa are on Common App. But I also think it's helpful to note that when we look at last year, so 2019, 2020, the students who applied from Iowa actually applied to 556 different colleges via Common App. And that's just a reminder that the platform gives you that ability to find the schools that meet what you're looking for. And what you're looking for may be different than what your friend is looking for, or what someone else may be telling you. So a lot of this is about research and finding your fit, but know that our hope is that with the diversity of the different colleges and universities on the Common App platform, that you can find one place that you can go to submit your applications to various institutions. So where does your journey start? It starts on the Common App website, commonapp.org. Before you even create an account, I think it's helpful to know what some of the resources are on the website. First place is going to the Find a College place, also known as the Explore part of the website. You can actually find here filters to locate certain schools. So if you want to find public institutions, for example, or based on a certain size of school, if you want to find different schools that may offer merit aid or need-based aid, you want to learn more about testing policies, you can find all of that here. I will call out, there is a filter for test optional. We know that for the class of 2021, many of our members, most of Common App member schools are offering a test optional policy because they know that students have not been able to test, and they do not want that to deter you from applying to their schools. Of course, fairtest.org is where you can go to see all schools. So whether they are on Common App or not, you can get a full list of test optional schools and learn more about their test policies. Again, on this page, you can also, you'll see schools in a map view as well as list view, and you can also export any list that you create. You'll also find on the Explore page where you can learn about each college. So you can get information about a school, their requirements, you can see image galleries, you can access virtual tours of the campuses, you can also learn more under the academic programs where the schools will tell you more about some of their activities and special programs. They'll highlight some of their academic programs. And this is all searchable on the Common App website. So for example, if you were interested in schools highlighting ROTC programs, or you wanted to find other schools that were highlighting ethnic studies, all of that text is searchable, where if you search on it, it would actually give you all colleges in the Common App membership that also have that text. So I'm going to jump into the application, but one additional piece that I want to say as you start this is to make you aware of a statement that's out there by over 350 colleges through Harvard's Graduate School of Education and their Making Caring Common project. And it is Care Counts in Crisis. And it is a statement that has been signed by admissions offices to let students know that their primary concern and what they want you to be taking care of is yourself, and that your well-being is more important than anything else. So there are 4 things that these admissions officers have signed on to. One is that they're saying that they value self-care. Again, in this time, they want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. As it relates to academic work, that they are going to assess you in the context of any obstacles that you have faced, that they value service and contribution to others. So if you have done anything or needed to do anything to help out in your community, that will be valued. That they value and understand family contributions. So during this time in quarantine, if you have had to take on additional responsibilities in your family, they want to know that. And as it relates to extracurriculars and summer activities, that you will not be disadvantaged in any way because you were not able to participate in a particular activity that you would normally have if not for the pandemic. I just think it's important to set that understanding that colleges really do know that this has not been a normal year and it has been very hard for you, and that they will read your application with that context in mind. So jumping into the application, I know I just passed over, but when you do want to start your Common App account, you click on Apply Now or Create an Account. Again, the Common App is something that can carry over from year to year. So for those of you who are ready this year, class of 2021, you may have created your account prior to August 1st, and that is completely okay because your information will roll over. Again, if anyone's on here who is a younger age, junior, sophomore, you also can create your account and roll over the information from year to year. Your username and password remain the same, and any information that you include on the Common App tab, those 7 sections. Sorry about that. As well as your college list. What does not roll over is anything that's on the My Colleges tab. So anything that's related to college specific questions or inviting recommenders, that does not roll over. Jumped into the application here. I'm on the college search tab. Again, there are filters you can use to find schools, or you can go ahead and just add colleges if you already know schools you want to put on your list. There's also the requirements grid here on that, the top right, where you can look up any school and see what their requirements are as far as deadlines, fees, letter of recommendation requirements, testing requirements, all of that lives in the requirements grid. There are those filters that you can use. Oh, look at that. And the arrow to the requirements grid. Common App tab is probably where you'll spend the most amount of your time. This is the general part of your application. The system is built where you can pop around and move to different sections. So if you want to start in the education section, that's fine. If you want to start in activities, you can bounce around. You'll know that a section is complete when you see a green arrow. Again, the 7 sections here, there are embedded videos for each section. So if you just need additional guidance, on the right-hand side, instructions and help, we have now our support more embedded in throughout the application. So just know that our support team is available 24/7. We have, I'll share another link at the end with how you can get to their support page. But anytime you run into a question that you don't understand or you need some additional guidance, you can go right to either chatting with our support team or sending them an email or a ticket so that they can help you out. Want to mention the Common App fee waiver. This is part of the profile section of the application. And all students see this question, and it is really to make sure that one of main barrier, which could be just paying the application fee, that does not prevent you from applying to college. So if you have economic need, something like you qualify for an SAT or ACT fee waiver, or you participate in the free and reduced lunch program, there are different, or participate in a community program, there are different criteria that I provided the screenshot here. But when you see this, if you feel that you qualify, you should definitely go ahead and select the box so that it will waive your fees in the Common App system. Last year alone, over $92 million was saved by students because our members granted those application fee waivers. In the education section, this is where you will put, the high school you attended, or if you've attended multiple high schools, if you've done any dual enrollment or taken any college courses, you'll put that here, your recent grades, or recent or current courses that you're taking, honors, and then there is a community-based organization section. So if you do work with any organizations either in your school or outside of your school that are helping you for free with the application process, you can list those community-based organizations here. And that's just the example. You can list up to 3. Activity section, this is also a place where students can spend a lot of time. You can report up to 10 activities, and note that they are activities and experiences. So again, if you have a family responsibilities, anything that you are doing that's not during school time, that is something that colleges want to know about. So you can talk here about family responsibilities. You can talk here about internships, or if you have a part-time or full-time job. Those are things that you can highlight here. You will be asked to estimate the amount of time spent in each activity. I know that sometimes some of these character limits can feel overwhelming, and you might feel like you don't have enough space. If you ever want to talk more about a particular activity, you can always use the additional information section in the application to discuss more about your activities. Just a reflection piece, knowing what you've been doing for the last 3 years, thinking about your time in high school, what experiences and activities have been most meaningful, and how would you want to put those in the application? You do not have to use all 10 spots. They are there for you to use. I think we see on average 5, but again, you have up to 10 to discuss your personal experience. The writing section, this is where you will see the Common App personal essay. You can choose from 7 different essay prompts, and these are to help guide you in your writing. It is not that you are responding to a particular question, but this is another way for you to let your voice come into the application. Since so many other parts are fields where you're just selecting responses, it doesn't exactly get your voice through. This is that place where you can really shine. There's some quotes from some of our member colleges about, be true to yourself, be genuine, express yourself in an authentic, insightful manner. One of the essay prompt choices is topic of your choice. So if you feel that the other prompts are not helping you in terms of what you want to write about, you can always select topic of your choice. Again, this is separate. There is an additional information question where that's like, if there's any part of your application that you want to talk more about, you can use that question. Also, just to note, Common App is integrated with Google Drive. So if you use Google Drive, you can take content from documents you have on Google Drive to grab the text and put it into Common App. At this time, the Common App personal essay is not a document upload, so it is a text box. In the writing section within the additional information question, this is also where you're going to find a question specifically about COVID-19. And it's called a community disruption question when you see it on your application preview on the PDF, because it discusses COVID-19 as well as natural disasters. We know that lots of students have been facing not only COVID-19, but also natural disasters this year as well as in previous years. And that impact, we wanted to make sure that there was space in the application where you could discuss that. It is an optional question, so it is not required for you to respond to. It is not an essay length, it's 250 words max. Again, you do not have to use that number of words, but it is there for you if you want to talk about how the current pandemic or any previous event has had an impact on you personally, on your well-being, your safety, on your family, your future plans, and your education, specifically if you've had to or had issues, let's say, with reliable technology or quiet study spaces. There's an FAQ that's linked to from the question. And also, just so you know, your counselors will also be asked a similar question about the impact on the overall school community. So if your school moved to being virtual, if your grading policies changed, if certain courses were canceled, your counselor will be sharing all of that through their counselor forms. On the My Colleges part, oh, that's okay. I just realized that that's grayed out, but hopefully you can still see that. This is where you can actually answer the college-specific questions. I'm going to just exit out for a second so I can get this here so you can see it. So this is where, you can actually answer the college-specific questions where you will submit your applications to each college. This is where you complete the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act to give permission to your counselor and teachers to submit your transcript and letters of recommendation on your behalf. All of that happens on the My Colleges tab. You'll also notice that there's a part for writing supplement. So some colleges you're applying to may also ask for an additional essay besides the Common App essay, or for additional short answer questions. If they have that, you'll see it as a separate submission called writing supplement. Some schools actually ask for those additional essays within their college-specific questions. So it's really important that you take a look at the writing requirements for any school on your list so that you don't get surprised by last-minute writing requirements. Okay, so thinking about recommenders, because this is another part that can feel stressful for students, and it really does differ by the schools that you are applying to. Most cases or all cases, you're going to be inviting a counselor because they are the ones who have to submit your transcript, and they will, with that, they'll submit a school profile to let the colleges know more about the school you're attending. They'll also be asked to fill out some forms, evaluation forms about you, as well as a counselor letter of recommendation. Now, not all colleges require a counselor letter of recommendation. On Common App, about 40% of our members require that letter. Then you'll be, in your application, you'll see which of your schools require any teacher letters of recommendation. Again, when you look at the requirements grid, there are no Common App member schools that require more than 2 teachers. I would say, if any, the most common, if they require a letter, is 1. Again, overall, there are 42% of our member colleges that require at least 1 letter of recommendation from a teacher. Then there's a third recommender type, which is called an other recommender. It is optional, but if there's someone that you feel or want to write a letter on your behalf, you can invite them within Common App. This could be, for example, if you're working with a college access program or an employer, or if you are a coach outside of the school. So it's up to you. Again, it's completely optional, but just know that that field exists in the application. And then a fourth type is called a recommender, but they're not actually submitting any letters of recommendation for you. And this is the advisor role. It's optional, but it's there for you if you are working with someone that is helping you through the application process, other than your counselor who would already have access to your information. You can invite up to 3 advisors. We don't define what an advisor is, so it can be a parent, it can be a sibling, it can be one of your friends, it can be an English teacher, anyone who you want to give access to see your application progress and to share a PDF preview of your application. Again, it's with your permission and with your invitation, but just wanted to note that that exists for you. Again, point of reflection, hopefully by now you have thought or have already invited some recommenders, but it is still early in the year. And so if you haven't yet, just be thinking, do you need a letter of recommendation? And if so, who would you want to ask to write this letter for you? All right, I know I didn't go through all sections. So again, if you have particular questions, there's not I didn't go through the testing section. You may have questions about that. So feel free to put those questions in the chat box. Just to point you to some tools for Common App. One is to make you aware of some of our supports around financing your college education. So one, if you indicate that you qualify for an application fee waiver, you will be asked a follow-up question about whether you want to connect with a free virtual mentor through the organization Strive for College. Completely optional. It's just another way for you to have an individual help you through this process, and not just through your application process, but the Strive mentor can also help you through the FAFSA completion process as well. In the Common App, if you saw the screenshots earlier, you'll notice there is also a financial aid resources tab. You will be able to, on that tab, actually find information about the free application for federal student aid. You'll get information about the CSS profile, links to the financial aid offices at any college that's on your Common App list. There are tools there for comparing financial aid award letters. And there's also an integration with ScholarSnap, which was an initiative of the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation. It's a way for you to share some of your Common App field data with ScholarSnap, where some scholarship providers have their scholarship applications. And so think of it as a way to pre-fill out some scholarships so that you don't have to re-enter all of that information. So you can do that integration on the financial aid resources tab. And then a third piece I want to call out is that the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, they have their college scholarship on Common App's platform. So if you want to apply for that scholarship, you would actually add them as one of your colleges. The deadline is coming up in a little bit over a month on October 30th, and you can find more information either on our website or, of course, going to the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation's website. Again, on our website, if you need any kind of roadmaps or guides to the application, we have those in our plan section. We also have a parent resources section on the website. Also on the website, we have our there are student resources. So Common App Ready, this is where you can go to get handouts of information. But one I think is really great is the application dictionary. There are lots of terms that get thrown out during this process that can feel overwhelming when you are hearing them for the first time. Even just in this presentation, there have been acronyms like FERPA and FAFSA and CSS profile, CBO, SEEB code. There's just a lot. So this guide exists on Common App Ready, and all of the materials on Common App Ready are available free, of course, and in English and Spanish. There's also out here a new resource for your essay writing. So if you want some assistance with completing your personal essay, you can get that out here on Common App Ready. There are brag sheets. Your counselor may have asked you about brag sheets to fill out where you can give them information about yourself. There are brag sheets also that you can give to your teachers. And there are brag sheets that parents can fill out to provide to counselors and teachers as well. As I mentioned, we are available 24/7. The links here, appsupport.commonapp.org. That's where you can go to get access to frequently asked questions about the application. Rec support is where counselors and teachers and other recommenders go if they have questions about the recommendation process. Again, you can contact us this way. There's also here where it says in one of those blue bubbles, writing requirements. That's where you can go to look up any member of Common App and to see what their writing requirements are as far as, do they require the Common App personal essay? Do they have any additional essays that you also have to write for them? And where do those additional writing prompts live? So it's, again, instead of having to add the colleges all into your application, you can use this resource on our website. Also wanted to mention, for those who aren't familiar with Common App as the organization, that ReachHigher is also part of us. ReachHigher was an initiative that former First Lady Michelle Obama started in 2014 to really provide messaging to students, particularly first generation and underrepresented students, about the possibility of college and the value of pursuing higher education, whether that's at a 2-year school, a 4-year school, a trade, apprenticeship, military, just the value of continuing education after high school. And there's a lot of great resources that exist through ReachHigher. On the ReachHigher website, bettermakeroom is the platform that's directly tied to messaging to students. These were 2 resources that came out this past year. One is a guide to your first year of college, and another one is a year of firsts, which has been following 4 students who were in their freshman year of college last year, where they just talked about what that was like, including what it was like going through school during the pandemic in the spring. Again, if you are on social media, Better Make Room is a great place to go or to tag as you are going through this process. If you have applied in or participated in Why Apply, possibly last week, I think on the 18th, there's some really encouraging, positive messaging out there about from students like you who are talking about why they want to go to college. And so I would just say, if you're out there, definitely tag Better Make Room so that we can help lift up your story as well. And then I'm just including all of our social media handles, because between Common App, ReachHigher, Better Make Room, we are out there constantly providing resources, trying to connect with you to, just help celebrate what you are doing currently as students and what you will do in the future. And we are cheering for you and are just excited to see what your future brings. So just as we wrap up, and then we'll open for questions, with all of this information, hopefully you have a plan, or you're thinking about a plan, but what is that next step that you need to do on this journey? I know at the beginning, it was mentioned that this is part of your college application week, but then next are these application fairs that are being hosted in Iowa. And I would say these virtual fairs are a great way for you to connect with colleges, to learn more about what they offer and if they are a good fit for you. So I will open it up with questions at this time.
All right, thank you, Meredith. Yes, like as she mentioned, anyone, if there are any questions, please don't be shy. Type them into either the chat box or the question and answer. I'm curious to know, with the letter of recommendations within the Common App, if someone's invited to write a letter of recommendation, can that letter of recommendation be used for multiple colleges, or are they college specific?
It's a great question. Generally speaking, it's if the counselor and student, or if the counselor and teachers are using Common App's recommender system, it's a one and done process. So it's a one letter that can then be sent to whichever schools a student applies to. If the students attend a school that uses Naviance as their counseling software platform, then counselors and teachers can choose whether they write one letter and send it to all schools, or they can choose to customize the letter.
We have a question from Susan about, can counselors share the taped version of this webinar with their students? So yes, the answer to that is definitely. We will have this recorded webinar on our website, and it is open to share after the fact. And just in your experience working there at Common App, who's the most used type of person for a letter of recommendation? If someone isn't in a sport, or they're not, you think of coach, you think of counselor, but if they want to really go off and get someone who's just different than everyone else, what are the top 10, or what's the most interesting type of person?
I don't even want to say. I honestly haven't even looked at that data to know the usage of the other recommender, because again, it is completely optional. But I haven't looked at the categories to be able to say. Yeah. So for me, I think that students feel overwhelmed, like that they're burdening teachers by asking them to write letters of recommendation. And so they feel like they should ask multiple teachers, to write for different colleges, not understanding that it is a one and done process. So it's actually more work to invite more teachers. And generally, again, if you have one, maybe you need two, but generally you will not need more than two teachers.
Okay, let me check our question and answer. If there are any other attendees out there who would like to get a question in, we still have a few more minutes. Otherwise, as we mentioned before, this recording can be found on Iowa College Aid's website, and we obviously have Meredith's contact information if there are questions about for her that we specifically can't ask at a later date. Do you have anything else to wrap up?
No, I mean, I'll say that I'll share the slides with you. I don't know if you are able to post those or not, but certainly, yeah, I'll answer that. Again, so you'll have the slides as well as the recording if anyone does ask for those.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, so I'm seeing the question about Google Drive. It is anything that I don't think Sheets would work because I would say it's the Google Docs. But you might be able to get into a document. I don't know. I'm thinking about Google Sheets now.
Yeah, I was just wondering because the other day on a call I was promoting keeping all of your stuff in one place for students, and like if that's a Google Sheet, you can build a tab for every application you put in or whatever that might be, or like keeping track of your activities in your work experience. Those different types of things.
Yeah, yeah, and to that point, like especially prior to when the application opens, or really anytime, I know that students do their activity lists outside of Common App and then copy it over into the application. But for like those questions, for example, they're not integrated with Google Drive because it's only for where it's a text box, like a long answer, not a text box, I should say a long answer question.
Okay.
Versus like activity section where it's short text box.
Right. I caught a piece of that, and then when I heard it Google, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I need to listen.
I'm glad you were listening. Yeah, I mean, it is meant for more of the paragraph and essay length, and where our members, where they do have document upload options for their college-specific questions, where the student can take something. And I completely agree with you. And our hope was that students who are using Google Drive as an organizational tool,
Right.
that they already have their college folder, that they can just go in there and easily find the documents that they need as part of their application.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish all of that existed when I was going to college.
Right?
Would have been great.
I could have definitely used some organizational tools.
Me too.
Yep.
Or even the Common App to have as many schools that it does now.
Oh, for sure.
Back when I was applying to colleges, it definitely didn't have nearly as many as there are now. So it would have made it a lot easier just to write the one and done.
Yep. When I applied, for graduate school, I felt how antiquated it was, that I still had to some were online, some were still paper. I had these folders of everything I had to pull together. I felt organized because I had folders, but it was a process. So in that sense, I feel like students, through Common App, there is something very simple about, they really truly can do this all digitally.
Yeah, and it's so slick and streamlined, just makes it pretty easy and intuitive.
We try. But we all, again, I put there the ideas link. So even if you all see that, and because it's not a perfect system, there's always room for improvement. So, if you start hearing people complain about the same things, that's just a great point to push up to let Common App know, so that we can make these little minor changes can have a huge impact on making it a better experience for people.
Right. Meredith, we will be able to attach your slides and the recording onto our event webpage. So awesome. Everybody will be able to access them there. And then I'll directly be sharing them with all of our high schools too. So
awesome. Great. Yeah. And then, please feel free to, I don't know how you'll share my information, but I don't know if does it need to be in these presentations? Do you know what I mean? Right.
Yep. If I come up with any question that, I'll just send it over to you if that's okay.
Okay, great. Yep, that would be great. I don't know if I want every high school across all of the states of Iowa to be emailing me. So I don't work on the solution. I tell people I don't work on the solution center, so I'm not the support. So I don't have access to students' information. I can't troubleshoot. I can just connect you to the right people. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate this. I know that you guys you put together a really packed agenda. So I'm just, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for making the time to be with us. I know you've had a busy schedule this week and last week too.
All good.
I appreciate all of our presenters have volunteered their time to do this, so it's pretty incredible. And really last minutely. So thank you.
No worries. Yeah. If there's anything else that you need from me, or you get any follow-up questions whenever you push this information out, just let me know. And if there's anything I can do to support any of your programming.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we'll conclude the recording and webinar right now, and everyone have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys.